Hi guys, it's me again. I know that I am in a different setting today than usually, but I thought why not take advantage that nobody's home and film in the living room, so here I am. I am going to be showing you all of the resources that I have used up until now and I am still using to plan for the school year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the books that you would use to study for your CSAT exam if you're in California, and then I'm going to go through the books that I used for student teaching and then the books that I'm using to prep for my first year of full-time teaching. So I know that some of you have asked about what CSAT books I used for the California teacher examination that you have to take in order to get into a credential program. So these books differ. There are many options that you can choose, but I'm going to show you the ones that allowed me to really understand the material and also pass all 4 parts the first time that I took the CSAT. I know that there's a lot of stuff online that says it's very difficult to pass and a lot of people don't pass a certain subtest their first time, but it is possible to pass all 4 at once if you really study. The CSAT is an interesting exam because you really have to study to the test. There is so much material to study in English that it seems very daunting and overwhelming to study everything English has to offer. So what I found really useful and what helped me pass was studying to the books or to the test. So this first one, CSAT English Secrets, did help me. It was informative, but I did find that the next book I'm going to show you covered a lot more material. What I did like about this book is that it has practice tests in the back, so this one's really handy. This one, I believe, helped me pass all 4 parts. The CSAT English Subtest Study Guide, and I believe that it's by something called REA, but it comes with, if you choose to buy it, I believe, I don't know if it still has an option, but flashcards, and I used those flashcards on the go as well to study while I was traveling abroad or when I was just at home. It was easy to take out those note cards, and it takes the material straight from this. And both of these CSAT exams practice tests claim that they take their test questions exactly from the previous CSAT English exams. I'm not sure if that's true, but I did find that a lot of the practice test questions were similar to the ones on the actual exam when I went to take it, so I found it very helpful in passing. Okay, so that's all I'm going to show you for studying for the CSAT. If you really put your mind to it, you will be able to pass the first time. Do not be so scared. I was really nervous to take it, but I studied about 2 months before, 3 months before, and I was able to pass all 4 at the same time. Okay, moving on to the grammar. I did study grammar for the CSAT, but I also used these when I was tutoring, and I used them when I was student teaching. This Easy Guide to Grammar book, I did use quite a lot just to brush up, and it does have some practice activities, and I made notes in it and stuff, but it was really good to reference back, as well as the 15 minutes to grammar. This was really helpful in teaching 10th and 11th grade because it has little ideas, 15-minute grammar warm-up ideas. I got both of these from Barnes & Noble. This one was just like a 50% off type of thing, and then this one was full price, but I did get it in the education section, so always look in the education section. That's where all the English teaching books are. Now moving on to everything that I used when I was student teaching. For English, this book is amazing. I used it in college for one of my college courses, and I continued to use it through tutoring and then when I was student teaching. And I plan on using this when I teach full-time. It's called They Say, I Say. It's amazing. If you have not read it, you must read it as an English teacher. It has great little fill-in-the-blank type of things, and it starts you off with structured writing, and then it has a format where it allows you to engage with your students and let them write freely. And eventually they will be able to be writers that are confident and able to write without these kinds of scripts, but sometimes it's easy, especially for English language learners, to have a guideline to follow. Don't Forget to Write is a really great book to use when you're student teaching because it has writing lessons, 50 writing lessons in it. I actually have not used this yet, but one of my previous students when I was student teaching, her mother, who was an English teacher also, gave this to me, which was the sweetest gift, so I could use it when I started teaching. Okay, so this book I swore by while I was student teaching and when I was tutoring, and it really helps me teach my students how to look at a test and understand how to answer multiple choice, and they did find it actually interesting. I was really surprised. But it's the ACT reading and writing and English section. It has some really great grammar references, multiple choice and passage association, which I loved, and I found that my students actually really liked going out of this book. They didn't like the other ACT books that I showed them, but this one they really liked. So if you are tutoring or looking to give your students some passages and then they analyze them and then answer questions, you can always pull from this. I found this one to be really good. Along those same lines with using multiple choice, I did use this E to Z English book. Not so much as the ACT book, but it does have great multiple choice in it. If you see Barron's E to C English, there are some great multiple choice options in there for grammar, word association, those sort of things. It doesn't have as much passage multiple choice as the ACT book, but it does have a lot of grammar, so if you're looking for grammar stuff, this one's really good to use. Okay, before I get to my two absolute life-saving books as an English teacher, I'm going to show you 3 fun books that I read. So the first fun book that I read that helped me teach was How to Read Literature Like a Professor. I found this book very enlightening, and it really breaks down how fluid English can be and how literature can have so many different meanings and so many things are open to interpretation, and that's why as English teachers we love English, but it helps you understand that if you're thinking like a professor, there are so many different avenues you can take while teaching literature, and the book actually goes through specific pieces of literature that a lot of people are familiar with, so you can use this book as a reference. This book I absolutely adored. It's called On Writing by Stephen King. I've read a few Stephen King books, but I wouldn't say that I'm a mega fan of Stephen King, but this was the most fascinating book to read about how he progresses from a young, naive writer into this amazing established writer that he is now. And he also gives some tips about how to write, especially since he's written so many great books. You wonder how he does it. He tells you in this book, and it's fascinating, so I would definitely encourage you to read this and then maybe read some passages to your students because it will help them with their writing. And then finally, Teach Like a Pirate, probably gonna pronounce his last name wrong, but David Burgess. This book was very inspiring. It's super short. You could probably read this in a day, but it has the best advice. I really liked how he opens himself up to his students and they love him. They always want to talk about his classes and they're excited to go to class, which is really what we want to give to our students, is have them be excited to get to class. So Teach Like a Pirate will show you how to engage with them and how to make lessons really interesting, and it does give some ideas in the back. And I love how he goes into different learning, kinesthetic, visual, oral, like all those great types of learners that we have. He shows how to get to each and every one of them, so I really loved this book. Okay guys, so these are my last 2 books that I want to show you. They are awesome. This one has absolutely saved my sanity this past month for the first week of school and beyond. And many of you probably know this book if you have been through a credential program. It's called The First Days of School by Harry Wong. This book is amazing. It came with a DVD. I got it off of Amazon. I still have to watch it. But I am just telling you right now, if you have not read this book and you're going into student teaching, I didn't read this before student teaching, but it would have helped me a lot. But definitely if you're starting your first year, this is so important to read, and it is backed up by so much research, these practices that he talks about, that is very important if you're in an elementary school level or a secondary level. This transfers to both areas. I would greatly encourage you to check this out. As you can see, I have so many post-its because I have so many ideas that I want to use from this, but definitely read this. It helps you with classroom management, and it tells you how important that first day of school is and the first week of school, and how you really set the tone and how to set the tone correctly for what you want to achieve during the school year. And lastly, I have my favorite, Mr. Jim Burke. He wrote English Teacher's Companion, and this is the savior of all English teacher books. He has the best ideas, and he has ideas for units, writing, reading, grammar, presentations, assessments, everything an English teacher could need, he has ideas for in this book. So if you're an English teacher and you're starting student teaching, definitely before you start student teaching or during student teaching, read this book. It will ease your anxiety, and I'm rereading it for the second time. I've already reread it for the second time, and it is just awesome. I love it, and I'm going to keep going back and back again for more suggestions from Mr. Burke. And one more piece of advice for those stray pieces of paper that your credential program gives you or a teacher friend gives you, you can always make a notebook or a binder, which I made with tabs. I have some tabs here for formative assessment, first week of school, summative, management. You can make tabs for anything, but I just have all the resources in here that I could possibly need that I want to keep. So just make sure you're piling those up because those can come in handy when you start teaching or even while you're student teaching. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching. I hope that some of these resources can help you in the future or while you're student teaching, and I wish you all the luck in the world while you start teaching. I know some of you are starting student teaching soon, and I also know some of you are starting your first year of teaching like me, so I wish all of us luck because it's coming up very, very fast. Have a great week, have a great month, have a great life. Bye.